Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I'm your host, PattSun, and today we're gonna be taking a look at r/TrueOffMyChest, where OP got his revenge against his cheating wife. So you better sit back, relax, hold on to your Dragon Balls because this is one long story. Let's begin. My girlfriend is changing our dynamics, and I don't think I can change. Posted by Reddit user Charles Darkwing.
So, it's been over a year since I left my wife over her long-term affair. She's battling some mental health challenges and so on, so I have the compassion to at least make sure she's okay. I just don't really care beyond that. We were together 20 years, since we were in high school, no kids, married for 5, and then discovered she was with her coworker before and during the pandemic. I eventually had enough after finding out everything and said I'm done. She's not in the best financial situation since I've carried her financially for most of her life, so I agreed to let her stay till she can save up and move on. I really don't care, so it's not an issue. The challenge is she definitely suffers from vulnerable narcissism, so she just has this need to be a victim for everything. I used to bite when she'd make some comments about me feeling like she's not trying to move, and she not trying to do better. However, through my continued education on how narcissism works, I realize it's how she's wired. So my solution is to just not care anymore. Admittedly, this is like a once every couple months incident, and she's hardly home now because her new guy, not her affair partner, is helping her apartment hunt, but the few times are annoying. Everything she does just makes sense now, so I can't react. Anyway, I'm just happy with my growth in realizing how to deal with her. She's going to be out soon, so I might as well hold on till then. I don't need to bash her, just not entertain her. Update 1. This is going to be convoluted. My ex-wife, I'll call her April, and I split last spring due to her continued infidelity. She was never in a position to immediately move out because she never saved a dime in her life, and I handled most of the finances. I didn't mind. Point is, she has been living in the same house with myself and housemate, a longtime friend of ours, since. I want her to get into a good situation, and despite how she treated me, we've been mostly amicable. I gave her till this April to find a place and she's been trying, but the market isn't great right now and she's struggling. I started seeing someone new, let's call her Denise. I'll have Denise over and we watch TV and then go to bed. April stays upstairs in her room. They've only met 5 times. It's a fairly large home we all rent, so there doesn't need to be much path crossing. I should mention, April also has some mental health challenges, including vulnerable narcissism. Denise doesn't want to engage with April, which is okay with me. I'm not including April in my life once she moves out, so it makes sense. Whenever Denise comes in, sometimes April is home and will say hello to her. Denise responds, but never looks at her and promptly leaves the room. She doesn't want to be rude, but she simply has no respect for April due to how she treated me in our marriage. The cheating, gaslighting, and manipulation really took a toll on me over 3 years. One day, April complained to me that Denise is disrespectful. I said it's sort of an awkward situation. Denise has to be cool with her boyfriend living with his ex-wife. Basically, she wants Denise to give her eye contact when they say hello. Denise doesn't care and definitely won't. I agree she shouldn't have to. Hello is plenty. My attitude is April is long past the deadline, so I'm not compromising my happiness for her anymore. Denise isn't being hurtful, but it's really tough to expect your new girl to be civil with your ex-wife while still living together. So, am I the asshole? Edit, she moves out in 2 weeks. Just got the word today. Update 2. I split from my ex-wife last year due to her cheating, and it was a 2-year-long ordeal because I caught her once, gave her a chance, but she kept doing it till I found out last spring. Most people understood the situation and consoled the situation. 2 of her friends and her brother took her side, and one friend was trying to be in the middle saying shit like, it takes 2 to break a marriage. I cut ties with the first 2 and my ex still hasn't found a place yet. We are very amicable and dating other people now, so all good there. However, twice this month while my ex was out with her guy, she drunk texted me telling me how wonderful he is, and would rapidly text paragraphs about him. While I'm in no way envious, I'm a high-income earner with my own business, travel a lot, and my girl is more successful than I am, and in a better life spot than my ex. I still don't see why it's necessary to be gushing to me about her man. I never talk about my girlfriend to her, so I messaged that middle ground friend about how to politely approach this with the ex without pissing her off. She immediately started to justify why my ex was doing this, and how maybe she feels threatened about my new girlfriend. 1. Why is this the subject? 2. Why should I care? They virtually never interact. My ex is at work at the time, and while I'm in this convo, she texts me apologizing for the texting and asks if we are okay. Very, very coincidental. So I told the friend I'll just tell my ex straight up, and even said, whatever you told her at least got her asking questions. My friend tried to lie and say she didn't tell my ex anything, and she reached out to her about something else. How convenient. Anyway, I now know I can't talk to her anymore because it'll go back to the ex. Even worse, half an hour later I'm holding my phone and the friend texts me a screenshot of our conversation. I read it quick, so I knew it was the convo we just had, and then she deleted it. Obviously, she accidentally sent it to me and it was intended for my ex, based on the context of the screenshot. So she tried to play it off saying she was sending it to her husband. He knows everything, and she misclicked. Hi, sure. So I'm never sharing anything with them again. They can't be trusted. My ex needs to move sooner than later and I can be done with this nonsense. Update 3. My ex-wife and I split last year due to her ongoing affair, and I allowed her to stay for a year while she saves and gets herself together to move. We've been amicable for the most part. She's dating a new guy, I'm dating a new girl, we take turns cooking. We also have another housemate. We rent a large home with multiple bedrooms. The one challenge was I've been noticing my liquor collection has been going down. I started mixology a few years ago and I enjoy collecting nice bottles as well. I usually have over 50. I have a cabinet in my basement office with my more premium stuff, and when I noticed the levels were low, I installed a lock. When I did that, I remember her going downstairs for something and came back up really annoyed. Figured she saw the lock. I also have a display cabinet in my bedroom, and I've been putting some of my liquor I pick up from travels in there. My office cabinet is full. The thing is, I'm a tad OCD, so labels always face forward. I noticed several of the bottles have been shifted. She's moving out in less than a week and she's been taking a few random things around the house. However, my bedroom is off limits. I'm away for a few days and she's packing, so being paranoid, I put a motion camera in my room. Her boyfriend is over to help her. It was maybe a couple hours before the motion detection went off. There she was, in my room looking at my empty cabinet and reading the bite I placed on it saying, "The shop is closed." She turned and walked out. I texted her, "Find what you're looking for." She responded she was measuring the cabinet in my room and sorry for going in. I called her out and said to not go in anymore. She said she didn't want to argue. I said it's not an argument, I'm telling her what's happening. Even when caught, she tried lying. Same thing she did when I caught her cheating. Can't wait for her to be out of my space permanently. Update 4. It hit me the other day, I'm actually becoming the best version of myself. Right before the virus, I had a wife, a great job, a great group of friends, and lived in a nice rental home. Things were not at all perfect, but I was happy. Little did I know everything would flip upside down. My wife was having an affair with her coworker and she blames it all on mental health issues. The virus literally just started, so we were stuck with a housemate and issues for months. Friends were on my side, but some of the women were starting to feel weird about it because I shouldn't have made it public to them. We were slowly working on our issues, and I was excelling in the virtual landscape of work. Soon she was back to work in person and things began being normal, and in the year I find out she's still talking to him, but that's all I knew. She said she can't help being friends. I said too bad. She said okay. Months later, I got the full evidence and she's still sleeping with him. So I ended things. She cried and tried every trick in the book to twist the story. I looked into it more and found all the evidence she was still having the affair. Now she's cornered. That's that. She's going to save up and move out. Fine by me. Now comes the hard part, dating. I have never been single as an adult. I was with this woman as a teenager and never even thought about another woman in 20 years. Oh, the growing pains. Women like me, I was popular on the apps, but I'm a bit nice and too respectful apparently. Months later I went through a bit of a hoe phase. I went in 9 ways in 18 days, including having a random one-night stand while in Mexico. I needed to get back into shape, so I went to the gym and I got back into martial arts. I'm down 20 pounds this year. Date 7 of that hoe phase is now my full-time lady friend, and she's an absolute freak in a great way. I've made new friends, deleted the old ones who took her side simply because, well, it takes 2 to break a marriage, so you must be at fault too somehow, and I've switched positions at work and I'm having a great time. All in all, I'm in such a great place today. I just wanted to take a moment and show some gratitude. I was in a dark place a year ago, and now I'm excited every day. This wouldn't have been possible without the actions of one narcissistic woman who selfishly tried to destroy my life. She's moved out now and I couldn't be happier. She took a bunch of stuff with her, but my girl had connections and got it all replaced within a week. Upwards and onwards. Update 5. Long story short is my ex was having a 2-year-long affair with her coworker. I found out the first time it happened. COVID hit, quarantine, we worked on things. She went back to work, hid the continued affair, found she was still texting him, almost broke up, no texts indicating cheating, just talking. While on vacation in Maui, I was setting up her Arrivacan app to return and took a quick look at her texts. She was texting him the entire trip. I didn't want to confront her during the trip, so I instead deleted and blocked his contact and not say anything. Now began the game, over the next 24 hours where she was stuck in an awkward position. Does she confront me and admit she was still talking to him, or does she stay silent and hope I didn't notice and she somehow accidentally deleted him? She went with option C, plead insanity and act like she's having a manic episode and she needs help. We got home and I waited a couple days to snoop through the phone and properly collect all the evidence, so there's no doubt this time. I forgot phone logs are a thing too. Anyway, it was fun watching her spin a narrative to cover her bases, not knowing what I knew. Stay petty, my friends. Update 6. Quick backstory, my soon-to-be ex and I separated a year ago due to her ongoing infidelity. However, she also suffers from vulnerable narcissism, so she had to spin stories making her the victim. We were together for over 20 years and her mom had treated me like gold since early on. We were teenagers when we first started dating. Mother-in-law is a sweet lady, always treated me like family and will ask my advice on things because I'm the eldest amongst her kids. My ex spins stories to get younger brother whom I was very close with, and he believed her. He started harassing me and I put a stop to that by disconnecting with him. He was lied to, but he should be smarter than to believe his sister suddenly began losing her mind and cheating. The issue in question is my mother-in-law. She really wanted to maintain a relationship and would check in on me. However, she also bought into the lies of her daughter, despite overwhelming evidence. Her daughter has since come clean. So me being bitter about the whole thing, and not appreciating being told I'm making up stories about a cheater, I started being resentful. So during our last phone call, I just told her straight up that I don't think this is going to last because I'm bitter. She believed her daughter, and both her kids have really treated me poorly the last year, so right now I just need space. This really hurt her because she didn't want to lose a son, and while I feel bad, I feel I'd rather separate and have her focus on her daughter. My ex told me her mom has been crying for days because of my words, and she feels like a bad mom for raising a daughter who'd do such things. She believes me now that her daughter has come clean. I've called this woman mom for 20 years, since I was 19, and she's been there for us. While I know I'm looking out for my best interest, did I need to dig into her that much? Yes, as she was asking me to forgive her daughter, but that wasn't my issue. Honestly, I want my ex's mom to be there for her and not complicate things with my involvement. Update 7. My one older brother had 4 kids with his ex-wife. I didn't grow up with him and never met till I was in my 20s. A couple of years later, he got divorced because he was cheating. They had 4 young kids at the time aged from 10 to 2. So the dude wasn't paying child support for years. It's been about 14 years since the split. He was still getting full access to the kids and yet wasn't supporting at all. My sister-in-law sort of just let it slide. I kept in touch, but since I didn't know her as well, eventually we had a talk about things and she was stressed over money. I asked about the money he was sending. Then she told me he hasn't. So me thinking this is unfair for a single mom to be financing 4 kids on her own, I pushed her into filing for child support. Her worry was her loss would resent her for doing that to their dad. Yeah, I know. Anyway, eventually she got the process going and he was being charged each month out of his paycheck. So, what does my incredibly responsible brother do? He quits his job and lives off our other brother so he could avoid paying. Nope, I didn't know this right away, so when I found out, I insisted she take this up further and escalate the situation with the government. Basically, he's screwed. Even though the kids are now older, and only one under 18, he still owes the back support for years to come. He found out I'm the one feeding her info about how to proceed, and he sent me an angry text telling me I went against Big Bro. I said he's going against his own kids. I'm just a half-brother he just met. These are his legacy. So I haven't spoken to him since, but he's on the warpath. I hear through other siblings and his ex-wife I'm not to be associated with. His daughter worked for me a short time and abruptly quit. Apparently he told her he was upset she'd take money from me. Keep in mind he's taking money from her now because he needs rent and his new job is paying the child support to her mom, so his daughter owes him. Anyway, where I might be the asshole is interfering. I feel I'm not because they are my family too. Update 8. So quick story. I was with my ex-wife for over 20 years. Very close to her family and friends group is close. Ex was having a 2-year-long affair with her coworker. It started before the pandemic, so we're in lockdown for a long time. We tried to make it work, but she went back to hiding and cheating after going back to work and I left. I cut everything off including her family, because her mom kept insisting I try reconciling, and her brother became verbally abusing because I was neglecting her needs now. It's clear ex lied to her family about the details. Ex continued to live with me and a housemate for a year to save money. We are amicable, so I just wanted her gone but in a good position. Never any major conflicts since we didn't interact as much anymore. She's since moved out, so over a long weekend while she still lived with us, she visited her brother. He calls me the next day asking to talk. I thought maybe there was an apology coming. He half-heartedly said he took out his frustrations because of his dad and stepdad being bad men and thought I'd be around. Okay, cool. So he said his sister is terrified of me and thinks I'm going to do something to mess with her. At this point she was with us for a year with no incident, so I'm in shock. I even helped her with money and anything she needed. Brother-in-law demanded I give him assurances I won't do anything to mess with his sister because I'm vindictive. Petty, yes, but never vindictive, and I've never been petty to get out of respect for the 20 years, even though she disrespected me. I wanted the moral high ground. I flat out told him no, and he will get nothing from me because he doesn't deserve it. He got really mad and called me names because he was worried. Well, if he's worried, why hasn't he done anything to help her leave sooner? If I'm such a monster, save her from me. I got mad at my ex and told her she must have said something to him because he's dumb, but not crazy to make this up. She denied it fully, saying she never said anything and he's potatoes. I secretly recorded our hot long convo in case. She's definitely lying. She had narcissism after all. Still, I wonder if I made it difficult, but not just agreeing to quiet him down and not get into a fight with the ex. Most of my friends said I was justified because of the slander, but a couple thought maybe make it easier for myself due to the high blood pressure I now have. Update 9. So my partner of over 20 years used to be super paranoid and insecure. For years she'd randomly say to me, "Don't cheat on me, and if you're going to cheat, break up with me first." I just chalked it up to things women said, especially when young. We were in our early 20s after all. She used to ask me if I loved her and why. I'd give her answers to reassure her. There was a time she asked me if I'd ever cheat. I told her no. She asked why, and if it's because I love her. I said no, it's because I'd never betray my values like that. She got irritated and said, "Why can't you just say it's because you love me?" To which I replied, "Because I can fall out of love for a few moments, enough time to cheat and do something stupid. I'll never go against my values and my commitment to you." That started an argument, meaning her yelling at me for half hour about not giving her the right type of answer. Anyway, we got married, we were happy, then she had an affair with her coworker. Ironic, she's the one that did everything she was afraid of, and she doesn't understand why I've left her. I also told her I'd never live as second place to any other man in her life. She should have known I'm a man of conviction and commitment to my values. I'm cold about it now because I did everything she asked for 20 years and then some, and she still went about her business for 2 years behind my back. Oh well. Update 10. So quick backstory, my soon-to-be ex-wife was having an affair with a coworker. I found out right before COVID. We were quarantined together, so did some work to reconcile, and then things started going back to normal. We were on vacation in Hawaii, and I had to use her phone to add her vaccine passport to return. I saw she was still in contact with her affair partner and texted him the entire trip. At this point I knew I was done. However, instead of blowing up and confronting her, I figured I needed to gather info and move on. So, I deleted the text thread and blocked his number. The next 24 hours before we left were amazing. She clearly knew I had removed his contact, but she couldn't confront me about it just in case I didn't, and it'd expose her still sleeping and talking to him. To watch her meltdown over the next day and being jittery and frantic still brings a tear to my eye. Nothing was said on the many hours flight home and she was shaking. She knew something was coming. Anyway, I waited 3 more days so I could set myself up to leave and got the rest of those texts and hidden messages she had elsewhere. I'm just proud of myself for being calm, cool, and collected at probably the most painful moment of my life. She is but a memory now, and I have happily moved on. Update 11. So, if you've read my last post about my soon-to-be ex-wife, you know I went on a campaign of petty revenge after discovering she was having an affair. I deleted the affair partner's number from her phone without telling her, forcing her to remain silent because she knew I did it but couldn't confront me. Glorious. Another bright memory was when she kept trying to lie about her affair and how she was threatening to send herself to the shadow realm because she's depressed. I foolishly gave her a chance for the sake of her mental health. So this time, after I finally revealed I knew everything once she dug herself into a hole she couldn't get out of, she once again made the threat. She started grabbing random things, acting frantic, and saying she's just going to off herself. So I called her bluff. I called the cops and said she's unwell and she's threatening. Cops arrived, took statements, and because of a previous attempt 2 years before, they found it necessary to take her in. She even resisted, and they said they'd arrest her if she didn't go. I'll never forget the look on her face as she walked out, looked back at me and said, "I hope you're fucking happy." She returned a few hours later and said, well, that was a waste of time. She was more defeated and even said, "Listen, I won't do it again, so don't call the cops anymore." Well, lady, don't threaten to off yourself again and we cool. A few days later, a constable called to check in and even said after reading everything I should be commended for how I've handled this, because in his career he's seen this scenario play out 100 different ways, and never this positively. So, what did I get? Cheating ex finally exposed because I played my cards correctly, no more threats, her realizing we were in fact over and she's now on record, while I'm seen as the model citizen. Okay, that last part was me just fluffing myself. Don't cheat on someone who plans contingencies. I was ready for this after the first time. I don't regret giving her a second chance, but there wasn't going to be a third. Update 12. I've been dating this new girl for 9 months now, and let me tell you, she's great. It's the first long-term relationship I've ever started as an adult. Prior to this I was in a relationship for over 20 years. We started as teens and it ended up being a thing, including getting married in our 30s. Right around the virus, I found out she was having an affair. We tried to work it out for almost 2 terrible years, but she was still sleeping around. I finally left last March and immediately began to date. I saw it all as a learning experience and I didn't really intend on dating long term, but things clicked with the cutie and here we are. So little things I've noticed as we learn about each other. I can go places without having to ask her. She's frankly disinterested in knowing my every move. She likes hearing I'm making friends wherever I go. She wants sex like all the time. We had more sex in our first 2 months than I did the entire 6 years of my marriage. She doesn't overspend. She has no debts. She doesn't ask me to cover her bills. She's ambitious. She doesn't turn her nose up at the idea of learning things. She doesn't scoff about going to self-help seminars. She hates her dad too, but hasn't turned it into some campaign about why she's a victim. She doesn't need me to follow her everywhere. She doesn't need more than 15 minutes to get ready. She is never late. She isn't afraid of flying. She doesn't get mad when I grab her butt. She doesn't sneak and drink my liquor collection in the middle of the night. Most importantly, she doesn't wear her issues on her like a shield to hide behind. Yes, I know, my ex has narcissism. It's diagnosed now. More specifically, she has vulnerable narcissism. Everything is about her being a victim and she used that to turn some friends against me because I neglected her. I appreciate our counselor calling her out on that, by the way. In the almost 2 years, it's interesting hearing friends I haven't seen in a while tell me all the annoying things about her. She was always good at parties, but they just meant how much doting on her I'd have to do. My sister even told me it was exhausting every time we visited, hearing her ask for things or follow me wherever I went. Every trip was about her. Here I am now on vacation with my girlfriend and having a blast. My girlfriend is outgoing, although shy talking to people, but she's the one spoiling me and asking me what I want to do so she can make it happen. She doesn't care if I stay up late drinking with the new friends I've made. She sent me off with these women she met so I could dance with them because she isn't a big dancer. She's not insecure. Anyway, my ex, I hope she lives a good life. I just don't want to be a part of it anymore. Update 13. My cheating ex-wife finally moved in June. We had been amicable over the 16 months she stayed as she got her shit together. Yes, I was done with her, but I wasn't about to make her homeless. We still shared phone plans and our viewer subscriptions. She pays for Spotify, I paid for Disney. Listen, she's a cheater, but she's gone and money is money. She sends money for her phone every month, and I kept a lot of her stuff in the garage for storage and we've been amicable. She was also keeping me on the insurance. This year has been a minor medical challenge. Meds and such cost money, but the insurance helped a lot. Anyway, I go to renew my meds today and was told my policy was canceled. I thought that was weird since I just saw her and she never mentioned anything. I texted her and no response. I called the company and they said it was canceled last month by her and hers is still active. So then she responds saying maybe they made a mistake since we are separated. That's bullshit. She specifically called to remove me. The agent told me everything. She continued to lie and gaslight. Need I remind everyone she works in insurance? She knows how these things work. She is the one who fills out the paperwork. So now, I'm just pissed off. I wouldn't have been mad if she said she's ending it, but at least give a dude a heads up. I've been nothing but accommodating despite her banging her coworkers' brains into the ground. I'm done being nice. I'm this close to closing her phone plan without telling her, and I've changed all the subscription passwords. Whoops, maybe they made a mistake when I asked to lower my bill. Me died today. To clarify, she moved out her stuff from the garage literally the day she canceled the insurance. Update 14. So quick recap, together 20 years, married 6, she had an affair before COVID, and again 2 years later with same guy, left her. She claimed mental health issues caused it, and I tried to be amicable till this week when she took me off her work insurance without giving me notice. Alright, so next day she sent me a long text outlining she had meant to discuss the insurance with me because I shouldn't be on it, but she's afraid of me. She's afraid of all the things I'll do to retaliate because I plan things. Alright folks, let me outline all the scary things I did to her during the 15 months she lived with me while we were split up and a bit after. I cooked for her, she cooked too. I paid more of the rent so she could save. I bought her a $1,000 kitchen knife set for when she moved, stored all her extra boxes when she did move for free, she moved them the day she canceled the insurance. I didn't throw her out when I caught her stealing from my liquor collection to give to her new boyfriend, loaned her money multiple times both during and after she moved. She always paid it back to her credit, and never once hesitated. I told her as long as I'm alive she will never be homeless or hungry even when she's on her own. I continued to split paying our subscriptions like Netflix and others, continued to keep her on my phone plan to save us both money and she was often late in paying, but not a big deal. So as you can clearly see, I've been very abusive for an ex-husband, scary even. Y'all should be wary of me when I get angry because I'll toss my bunny slipper right in your general direction. For those of you who want to say, you're leaving things out, yeah, never once harmed her, never once abused her, and took care of her because that's what a husband does. She was fighting and on her knees crying to keep me, so clearly I am such a monster. She has told this story that she's afraid of me and I'm scary, and I didn't realize that's why some people who knew about the affair stopped speaking to me. She's a liar. She has vulnerable narcissism. So everything is about her being the victim regardless of the facts. I hope she doesn't mess with divorce proceedings. I just want her gone permanently and we never have to speak again. She's a terrible human being, and I'm a chump who gave her the benefit of the doubt. Update 15. This is more just me keeping a record of events as I'm going through a divorce from the sneakiest of narcissists. Feel free to read and laugh at me for my ignorance. I was with my ex, May, for over 20 years. We met at 17. We were two peas in a pod against the world. There were tiny issues early on, but I'm the type to work on things and not run at the first sigh of challenges. However, I didn't realize these were major red flags. First of all, she's late for everything. If it's not for her, she doesn't care. She has no ambition. The idea of bettering herself was a painful one. My first chance to leave was a few years in when she got super obsessed with a guy we met at one of my friend's parties. Sal and her spoke all the time and she'd sneak off into the bathroom to talk to him. Then they started to hang out alone. I, being young and naive, didn't want to be the jealous boyfriend. Eventually I found out they slept together once. She confessed to me and so I was dumb and gave her a chance because at least she was honest. I was 22, please go easy on me. Anyway, she cut off Sal forever and that was that. He's off married with kids now, being a golf instructor. Over the years my ex has anger issues, started being a bit controlling with my time and was just fussy over a lot. It was interesting when our mutual friends and even a couple of her friends would say to me things like, Why do you let her treat you that way? Or she's got a bit of an issue she needs to talk to someone about. Meanwhile, I was still handling most of the expenses outside of bills and making sure we had a life. Eventually, we got an opportunity to rent a really large, nice home with another friend in a sweet neighborhood. There she got a job close by, and that's when she met Mike. They work at an insurance company and he's an agent. She's an admin. I remember when she started talking about Mike all the time. I love gossip, but eventually it got to the point where it was an everyday occurrence. One point I stopped her and said I could go a few days without hearing about him. I hadn't suspected anything yet, but I was getting the same Sal vibes from her behavior. She said she doesn't talk about him a lot. I told her it's been 42 straight days. Eventually I found out they had slept together. Yup, I snooped at her phone. The things they talk about. To be fair, she never said anything bad about me. She was living a separate life. This was right before the virus, so we were stuck together. Honestly, that gave her some extra time. Eventually she went back to work, and of course she started acting weird again, and of course I checked her phone. Now it was a full-on affair. They had 2 pregnancy scares. His wife left him and had the kids mainly, and she was love-bombing him. His eldest daughter is having mental health challenges. Like detailed info on over 1,000 texts. Mike even told her he gives me credit for putting up with her because he would have left her for less. Oof, I forgot we've got phone records. They spoke daily, tons more texts, and her Uber trips came from his place. It was all there. Anyway, I eventually came to my senses and left. She stayed for a while and eventually got her own place. I can't wait till the final day when we are officially divorced. She has lied and manipulated the story to put close friends against. For my own mental health, I cut them off because they're dumb enough to believe her. Anyway, she's got a new guy now and she's still talking to Mike, kept shared phone plans, so I knew, and I wouldn't put it past her that she's still sleeping with him behind this guy's back. I'm glad to be out and wiser from the experience. Update 16. So quick backstory, was married for years, wife had an affair, lied and gaslit like crazy. Left her and decided to date, looking to just go be free and single since I've never been single as an adult at almost 40. Caught up. Good. So I was on a sort of dating spree. I mean, meeting new women, have drinks, enjoy company and so on. Many times, we didn't click but respectfully ended talking. Some were flings and that's what we wanted. Some became friends. I'm not that guy looking just for sex, it's just not the main thing for me. I enjoy connection and then playful flirting. Gotta remember I missed all of this in my late teens and 20s, so it may sound juvenile. Women find it refreshing. Yes, I've had some hookups, I'm not a monster. I just never had a one-night stand from a date before, and never hooked up on the first date either, I swear. Anyway, the goal was to date and do the non-monogamous route. Most people I met were the same and didn't want stable relationships, mostly friends with benefits. So here comes this cutie, she's independent, got her shit together and is a swinger. She hasn't had many actual relationships, just lots of friends with benefits and swinger clubs, lots of swinger clubs. Her experience and body count is absolutely impressive. Being very sex positive, I find this attractive. Anyway, we go out and she asks to hook up at the end. This is the first time this has happened and of course your boy said yeah. So we kept talking for weeks and we are basically bunnies, and I sorta asked what's her end game here. She likes me and wants to date me. I said that's cool, but I'm kinda trying to be non-monogamous and have some side fun. She immediately said, oh, I don't care who you fuck. I just want to be your actual girlfriend. Score. This sounds great. I also don't care who she sleeps with. So months go by and this arrangement is wonderful. I continued going out on fun dates, never once had sex with any of them. I'd tell her about them. She's super supportive, slightly disappointed I didn't seal the deal, but supportive. She continued seeing her fuck buddies, and surprisingly enough, I didn't care. Things were great. She even got me better clothes to date. Months later she said she doesn't really feel like hooking up with anyone anymore because she really likes me. I tried to tell her it's okay if she does, but she insisted. Again, she assured me I'm free to do what I want. Okay, so I did maybe 2 more dates and things went on. Couple months later she started hinting on maybe we could be monogamous. I said I'm nowhere near ready for that. I don't think it's what I want anymore. I'm liking our arrangement. Then every once in a while, more subtle talk. Then eventually she said she won't tell me what to do, but would really like it if she were the only one I slept with, but doesn't mind everything else like dating, kissing or fooling around. Just no sex or sleepovers. I said I'm not really interested in that because I want to be free to have fun. At this point, it's been almost a year since we started dating. I've gone out with 5 other women, slept with 0 and made out with 2, so I'm not exactly killing it here and that's okay. The thing is, she's now really pushing the monogamy thing and I think it may be time to have a real talk about it and say this isn't what I signed up for, and don't want to change because this arrangement would have turned me off from the beginning. I don't want to be a jerk, but she chose to stop her lifestyle, and I support her, but I'm not willing to change because it's no longer who I am. Friends say date and just don't tell her. I call that cheating, and real men don't cheat. I want consent in an open relationship as we agreed to at the start. I'm done with sexual monogamy. If I go on a trip and get the chance to hook up, I want to do it guilt-free and tell her after as was first advertised. Anyway, I feel this is heading to a sticky conflict and I don't know what to do. Just needed to get this off my chest. Update 17. I've been with my girlfriend for almost a year. She's sweet and very loving. When we met, she was a swinger, has had many partners, and I was freshly out of a long mono relationship. My ex was having a long affair, so I dated for the experience and fun. For a guy who's had little actual adult dating experience, I was doing well for myself. I sought short-term fun only. When we started dating, I was very clear on seeing other people and didn't want to be sexually tied down. She agreed due to my past, and said she'd still see her regulars. Cool. She's slept with many people. That was actually a positive because my ex was sexually conservative, but this chick, nah, very healthy views on sex. So we dated, and while I went on dates, I hadn't slept with anyone else. It wasn't because I didn't want to, but dates I went on I wasn't feeling it. I have to actually like someone to sleep with them. Usually there's something stopping me from advancing. Anyway, eventually my girlfriend says she just doesn't feel like being with anyone else anymore because of me. However, she said she doesn't care what I do. Okay, cool. Still, haven't slept with anyone due to work and spending time with her. Keep in mind I'm now only dating other non-monogamous women, and all of them have partners as well. So this is all done ethically and with the proper paperwork. That's a joke. A couple of months ago my girlfriend starts hinting she wants us to be monogamous. I reminded her of our original agreement and then she just left it alone. Later she brings it up more and more, and I say I'm just not looking for monogamy anymore, and that's why we started dating. She is now trying to convince me that I'm not missing anything, and I think there's some wide world out there. The thing is, it's not about me feeling like I've missed out, it's that I don't really want a sexually monogamous relationship anymore. I did the thing for 20 years, and I'm the type to be open and honest about my choices as to not harm anyone. I'm not my ex who lies and cheats, needless but funny dig. So, I feel I need to have an actual sit down with her and make it clear I am not sexually monogamous. I am emotionally, but sexually, I want variety and was more than okay with her. And yes, she has slept with others since we've been together. I literally didn't care. I have not. She's also coming from a perspective where she has had her fun over 20 years, while I have not. I was with 2 women my whole life till I left the cheater. I feel like I'm being bamboozled here. She was one way which I loved, and now she's gone all vanilla and wants me to do the same. I think we are at different stages of our lives, so maybe this ain't gonna work. She had the fun, I had the stability. Now we want to switch and it's not compatible. I don't feel I'm being unreasonable.
OP, for the sake of your sanity, stop dating hoes. And if you plan to never be monogamous again for the foreseeable future, then don't be in a committed relationship, especially with the town bicycle. Do you want to go through getting cheated on again in the future? Also, go to therapy. It looks like you have a lot to unpack. It will be good to speak to a professional. Good luck, man. Viewer support is the best way for me to remain independent and continue bringing you these daily videos, which will always be here on my channels for you to watch absolutely free. So please consider subscribing to me on Rumble and on YouTube. Both will be linked in the description box down below. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you even somewhat enjoyed today's story, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you really like it, consider subscribing to PattSun to never miss a future upload. Stay strong.